asking. Are you asking for what you need? The reason I'm asking is because when you ask, you're more likely to get some sort of response. Whatever response that is, whether it is something that you agree with or don't agree with, something you like or dislike, at least you get an answer. When you ask, you can either get an answer directly through them answering you back, or you can get an answer indirectly through, for instance, a lack of a response, a lack of an answer, a lack of closure. But here's the thing. When we're talking about asking for something, did you know that asking is the most brave thing that you could possibly do in any sort of relationship whatsoever? Not even in just relationships, but in your communion, in your union, in your relationship to the universe. When you ask, you shall receive. Those who ask shall receive. Right? Even if the answer stumbles, it is still an answer. Yet again, it requires that you tap into vulnerability sometimes. Very often it does. It requires bravery. It requires that you go deep sometimes. Sometimes before you ask others, it's necessary to ask yourself. Asking yourself the tougher questions before you ask others. Because if you're to ask someone to meet you somewhere, it might be a good idea to know where that is, to know where to meet them, where you would stand. Yet that is exactly what most high performers with perfectionism, or what you might call perfectionists, and you might kind of feel like or self-identify with that. A lot of the time, tapping into vulnerability, tapping into bravery, going deep, daring to ask, and even daring to receive might actually be something that you find it difficult to work on. And that's okay. That's where you are right now. And that is amazing. That you are right here, right now, and that you are tuning into what I'm saying right now. I believe that I'm just channeling a message right now for someone to hear. And that someone might be you. That you needed to hear this right now. It's about giving yourself permission to ask, giving yourself permission to receive. Very often, if you kind of find it hard to ask, it might be because you've asked before and you've gotten the kind of a response or reaction that you didn't see as desirable. Yet again, when you get a reaction or response that you don't want or dislike, that is, like I've said, an answer in and of itself. Then you have feedback, at least. What happens? Let me ask you, what happens if we don't ask? If we merely ask in our imagination? If you're a high performer with perfectionism, you might have a very imaginative mind. You might live a lot in your mind. You might find yourself ruminating and overthinking. You might be stuck in your mind a lot. I know because I've been there and I've done that. When you are up there in the mind and you don't ask, then you're merely imagining what the reaction or the answer or whatever it might be will be. See? But is that actually going to give you the answer? Is that actually going to give you the response? Is that going to give you anything at all? Very often not. It will give you more rumination, more going in circles, chasing your own tail, chasing answers in your mind. But what if instead you tapped into courage, tapped into bravery, tapped into vulnerability, and ask? Ask and you shall receive. It's probably one of my favorite sayings of all time. Because if you meditate on that a bit, if you sit with that, you'll see that it is so freaking true. It holds so much truth to it that you will receive exactly what you ask for. And even if you don't ask, that is asking too. Isn't that ironic? Even if you don't ask, then you're asking for something else. There's no asking. But consciousness and being able to bloom beyond perfectionism is about consciously asking, getting in touch with your subconscious mind, rewiring it by asking for what you feel worthy of. But that's the thing, right? You might not actually feel worthy of what you would like to ask for deep down. If you allow yourself to imagine something, inviting something into your life, if you allow yourself to imagine, do you really feel worthy of it? That is when your subconscious patterns of thinking, feeling, behaving might, set a barrier for you. And so in the Bloom Beyond tribe, in the Bloom Beyond Perfectionism program, in the Bloom Beyond Mastermind, it's all about being able to rewire your subconscious mind and sow seeds into there that align with what you want. And the thing is that you want to do that when you're in that state that is receptive to receive. That state that is receptive to receive is when you are in alpha, theta, or delta brainwave state. That is something that you can get into through basically dreaming. When you're dreaming at night, you're automatically going into that. You also go into that state during the day. Even if you're watching this right now or staring at a screen or something, you're in these states. Also, you're in these states when you're driving around, for instance. When you're doing something very repetitive, you're in these states. But also, you can actually get into these states through the methods that we use at Bloom Beyond. For instance, rapid transformational therapy, which really takes you back and deeper and deeper and deeper into your subconscious mind by merely speaking to you in a way that appeals to your subconscious mind so that it opens and is receptive to what is being communicated. And it's done in an ethical way, in a way that you want. So, for you to be able to ask, again, to sum up, being able to tap into vulnerability, tap into bravery, and allow yourself and give yourself permission to ask, permission to also receive, and that this begins at a subconscious level. You're not going to ask for something or allow yourself to receive something if you have subconscious blocks. It's that blunt. It's that true. So those subconscious blocks will not just disappear. They can basically dissipate and be transmuted and rewired through emotion, conviction, and repetition. These are the principles that we work with at Bloom Beyond. I invite you to join the Bloom Beyond tribe. Go to bloombeyond.com/apply to get part of that tribe, to get chat support, and to really just be there for a free monthly cohort. And then you can extend beyond that if you then choose to proceed into our paid programs, Bloom Beyond Perfectionism Program, Bloom Beyond Mastermind, for those who are, wanting long-term shifts, long-term change, and actually see the harvest of their wirings in their subconscious, so that you can bloom beyond perfectionism and overcome it, so that you can feel worthy of asking, feel worthy of receiving. Because deep down, the light, the sunflower, the bloomer within you feels worthy. It's just a question of, are you ready to open yourself up to that? If you make the commitment to be ready, even though that you might not feel ready 100%, you make that commitment, you come into the Bloom Beyond tribe, that is your step into a totally new reality. So go to bloombeyond.com/apply. We might see you on the other side. And until next time, stay bright, brave, and balanced.